this idea came to mind last year when the International Society of Bassists asked me to put together a video for their virtual festival last June.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been playing with Mark Feldman since Catch 35 reopened after the pandemic. And I somehow I had it in my head it would be cool to do something with Mark and Larry Gray on cello. I don't know where that came from, but it seemed like a good idea. So I decided to do that for the bass convention. I thought that would be kind of a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
And I thought I'd wanted to do it as a more of like a jazz group with drums and I thought, we could have done guitar, would have been a possibility. I decided to do it with the piano.
Mm-hmm.
And, basically we're doing my tunes. We're doing one of Steve Million's tunes, and we're doing them with cello and violin as sort of the front line, rather than trumpet and sax or trumpet and trombone, that combination like that. So we're using the strings, and that's hence StringThing, because the piano's a string instrument. We've got all string instruments except for the drums.
Hey everybody, Mike Jeffers, Chicago Jazz Magazine, chicagojazz.com, and welcome to another Around Town. And this is our special Jazz Fest preview around town. And today we're talking with Eric Hochberg. I'm sure many of you know who Eric Hochberg is. He has been playing around the city, but also throughout the entire world for many, many years. And I will have him back on to discuss his whole career, because we need to get into that at some point, because that could be a long conversation, which it will be. But today I wanted to focus on the Chicago Jazz Fest, of course, coming up August 31st through September 3rd in Millennium Park. And he is bringing a very interesting group to the stage September 1st, 11:30 a.m. to 12:25 p.m. on the Von Freeman stage, which is on the North Promenade right there next to the Bean, North Promenade. And it's called Eric Hochberg's StringThing. So, Eric, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking a few minutes. And let's talk specifically about Eric Hochberg's StringThing, because I know you play upright bass. That makes sense. But you've also got Larry Gray on this. Mark Feldman's on there. You're bringing Michael Raynor into town to perform, it looks like, with you on this. Of course, Steve Million, who's a longtime collaborator with you, is on this gig as well. So where do we start with the StringThing? What is it?
So this idea came to mind last year when the International Society of Bassists asked me to put together a video for their virtual festival last June.
Mm-hmm.
And I had been playing with Mark Feldman since Catch 35 reopened after the pandemic. And I somehow I had it in my head it would be cool to do something with Mark and Larry Gray on cello. I don't know where that came from, but it seemed like a good idea. So I decided to do that for the bass convention. I thought that would be kind of a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
And I thought I'd wanted to do it as a more of like a jazz group with drums and I thought, we could have done guitar, would have been a possibility. I decided to do it with the piano.
Mm-hmm.
And, basically we're doing my tunes. We're doing one of Steve Million's tunes, and we're doing them with cello and violin as sort of the front line, rather than trumpet and sax or trumpet and trombone, and that combination like that. So we're using the strings, and that's hence StringThing, because the piano's a string instrument. We've got all string instruments except for the drums. So that's the idea.
It's when you play, I mean, I've heard you play in so many different ensembles over the years, but I know just from my experience, and I'm sure you can attest to this, when you have like trumpet or sax at the front line and you're playing tunes, maybe there's a little less arranging needed than I would think with a string ensemble, right? I mean, did you have to go through and arrange tunes? I mean, are these original compositions?
There are original compositions, and they're pretty much straightforward. They haven't. Million did a nice arrangement of his tune, which is a little beyond. They're basic arrangements. So
Mhm.
it's not like listening to a classical string trio where everybody, it's very developed and thought out. It's more, they're more straight ahead playing my tunes off of the lead sheets with some harmony, with some counterpoint, but they're pretty basic.
I think a lot of people probably know the name Larry Gray, and they know Larry Gray as an incredible bassist, but he is also an unbelievable cellist. I know he teaches cello and does a lot of different things like that. What was it like when the three of you got together? Have you done anything with Larry and Mark in the past where you guys were used to doing it? I know you guys all know each other, but I mean, what was it like getting together and actually playing with this kind of a front line?
No, we haven't. And when we did this video project we did, um, we got together for one rehearsal without Larry because he couldn't come to town for the rehearsal. And Larry showed up at the video recording, and we just did it. And I was just trusting in the fact that these guys are all such good musicians. It's something good is going to happen, at least most of the time. And that's kind of what happened. But they did a great job, and so we winged it. And now this time we're going to have a rehearsal the day before, and we're going to try to pull it the loose ends together. But we are going to put a little time into it. But Larry's primarily in Champaign now,
Right.
and Mike Raynor's out in Portland now, and it's tough to get together. So, but it promises to be a cool event.
Well, that's the thing, right? So anybody come to the Jazz Fest, it's 11:30 a.m. to 12:25 p.m. on Friday, September 1st. Of course, the Jazz Fest, this is the first set at the Von Freeman stage on the Promenade. It's free. Everybody's favorite F word, I think, is free. But to be able to hear this in that kind of a setting, it's going to be really interesting. When you guys put this together, and you're all very accomplished musicians, and you all know how to swing, but I know cello and violin, sometimes it's a little different than like a sax player, like really getting into the pocket, right? What's the challenge on that? Especially, I'm assuming you're playing walking bass lines then too, right? You're doing the rhythm section thing.
There are some walking bass lines. There's a lot of the music is a little. It's not your straight ahead swing jazz stuff. Basically, it's a little more eclectic. It's got some of that in it, but some of the tunes are, we're doing straight eight stuff. We're doing a lot of some 3/4. In fact, we have 3 tunes in 3. We're not playing standards, swinging. Right. We're not swinging standards with this group, which would be very cool too. But these guys all swing. Larry swings as a bass player. He swings as a cello player. Mark Feldman swings as a violinist. First time I played with Mark, I felt like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm back with Johnny Frigo again.
Really?
Because he's just such a great violinist. And it just reminded me of playing with Johnny on some level. You know what I mean? The quality of his improvisations. I just felt like, oh great, this is fantastic. This guy really, really has it, So it's very exciting. So it's not going to sound like a sax player. It's not going to sound like the Jazz Messengers. You know what I mean? But it's different. It's a different sound, and and everybody, these guys blow so well. It's so incredible that it's going to be interesting no matter what.
Well, it's sounding to me like that you guys have already done this once a year ago. Now this is sort of, you're getting back together and you're rehearsing and you're actually doing this. Almost sounds to me like this could be something that you do again and again and again down the road. Because it's really unbelievably interesting to listen to and watch, right?
I would certainly like to do it more often, and hopefully, we'll get the opportunity. But this will be basically our debut live performance at the Jazz Festival. So we'll see what happens,
The nice thing is too, that makes this a little bit easier to do on a more consistent basis now moving forward, is because it's really only two other instruments. It's not like you're bringing in an ensemble and you've got to deal with 10 or 12 different string instruments. But I'm sure with the piano filling everything out, it probably sounds like there's like 10 instruments with the way things can get arranged, especially with the way strings can work within each other and also harmonize with each other, right?
Sure. Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, we're doing this, some of the stuff's arranged, some of it is open-ended and free. And there's just a lot of different things going on here, but hey, the music could have been done with tenor and trumpet, but we're doing it this way, and it's a different sound, and it, hopefully people are going to enjoy it.
No, I think they will. So let me make sure everybody knows again, September 1st, 11:30 a.m. to 12:25 p.m. Von Freeman Pavilion, right there in the North Promenade, just north of the Bean, for everybody that knows that area there. Eric Hochberg's StringThing. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that you're like one of the hardest working musicians here in town, you and Steve Million. And you do Catch 35 Wednesdays through Saturdays, right? And is that
Right.
That's 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. right there, Catch 35 West Wacker. And you do an interesting thing there too. You've been doing this for years and years and years. And it came back after the pandemic. Big, props to them for bringing it back, because some places lost their music over the pandemic and never brought it back. So it's incredible that they brought it back. But you also do special guests each night. So, it's you and Steve are the primary group, and then you have special guests. Just real briefly, how did that come about? Because I mean, it's such a long running gig now, and it's that many days. It's just, nobody has these types of runs anymore.
Right. It was just a wonderful thing that's happened. When we started doing this in 2005, Rob Parton was the leader of the group, and he was, I think he was here for 6 years, and then he moved to Columbus, Ohio to teach, and I took over. And when I took over, I decided I didn't want to have a regular trio. I wanted to have a special guest every night, so to give some variety to the proceedings. It was mostly Rob, Steve, and I for 6 years.
Yeah.
And when we'd sub out, we'd get different people. Rob would get different subs on his instrument, but I wanted to do a regular thing, so every night was going to be something different. And when we started, we'd been doing it 5 nights a week up until the pandemic. And so we had a lot of musicians booked every month. And it's just been really exciting. Now we're doing 4 nights a week. And on Thursdays we do Beyond Night, which is, we're getting groups that are more pop oriented. They wanted to make a change there, and we're doing that, and successfully. They're very happy with it, and it seems to be going well. So,
well, and to your credit too, because a lot of musicians wouldn't say, hey, you know what, let's just keep the same trio, let's keep this thing going. To your credit, you're showcasing all these different musicians, and some wouldn't get this kind of a showcase to be able to do something in, because I see the lineups all the time. Of course, we should tell everybody EricHochberg.com is the website, but then if head over to Facebook, and he updates it all the time, because he's, it's easier to update it in one spot with all these different guest artists. But you have vocalists, you have horn players, different pianists even coming in and subbing in for Steve, along with different combinations. It's like a full-time booking gig. It seems like.
Yeah, it keeps you busy for a few days. Especially when it was 5 days a week, and we were doing all 5 days. Yeah, it'll keep you busy for a few days, just getting everything organized. But yeah, it's been a great thing, and really exciting. And I still, 18 years later, I still really enjoy it. So it's great.
But it's unbelievable. So that's Catch 35 Wednesdays through Saturdays. Of course, EricHochberg.com, and of course Eric Hochberg's StringThing at the Jazz Fest September 1st on the Von Freeman stage. Eric, thanks for jumping on, man. I really appreciate it. And we need to do a longer interview, because everybody listening needs to hear about your story, because it's unbelievable, all the different things you've done. So we need to set that up at some point soon as well.
Very good. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And of course, thanks everybody for watching. As I always say, all the information's at chicagojazz.com. And until next time, hopefully I will see somebody out on the scene.